Hi, everybody. I'm back and welcome to the Aliens and Angels podcast. I've been away for a few weeks looking after my granddaughters on the West Coast, and I'm back now. So we will continue with the lives every Sunday, and I hope that you can make it. And if you can't, there's always the replay, and the show is available on all audio podcasts. So just to recap, so far this year, I have read chapters 1 to 8 of my new book called Transdimensional Meet the New Neighbors, which is available on Amazon. And if you haven't been following along with us, you might want to go back and watch the replays to catch up. Today, we will continue to read and discuss Part 3, Chapter 9, Prepare for Contact. And for those of you who have already purchased your copy, feel free to follow along, add your comments, and ask me anything arising from the content. And if you do not own your own copy, the links for both Kindle and paperback versions are featured below in the description. Just a reminder, all of my links are featured below. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, and please do share my content with your friends. And I'm very happy to announce that channel memberships are now available on YouTube. And if you'd like to become a member, I'd love to have you, and you can help to support my channel. So yes, it's very important actually that you like this video if you like it and share it with your friends because it takes quite a lot of effort to get my shows out there in the algorithm. And because my information is, I was going to say the wrong word, is controversial, it tends to get downplayed in the algorithm. So you can really help me out if you appreciate my content by sharing this with your friends. So let's see. I am going to put on a banner for those that are new to the channel. And this is my book that I'll be reading from, Transdimensional Meet the New Neighbors with Karen Holton. Of course, when you buy your copy, it won't have this band across the front, but my books do because these are the editor versions. And if you like that book, you might even like my second book, Transdimensional 2, Meet the Greys picture book. So as for Transdimensional 2, Meet the Greys, there's only 2 chapters of script. In the first chapter, I talk about my own experiences with ET and my experience with Bob the Gray. But in chapter 2, I have 7 other people who share their experiences. This is from Dolly Saffron, and she submitted that image. And I've got Preston Dennett, Jimmy Blanchett, I've got Elsa Dillon, I've got the Kinsella twins, and then the rest of the book is all images. And so I've got this divided up into gray males, gray females, gray children, all kinds of human-looking grays. And what the grays all have in common, and probably the only thing they have in common, is that their skin does not contain the pigment that is necessary for our eyes to pick up um, a sense of color from their skin, because our eyes only pick up a very narrow band of the color spectrum. And so to us, they all appear to be gray, but to each other, they don't. But they have ways of seeing that we don't have. And So these images are actually AI generated. I worked with AI to create them, but they help give you the gist of the diversity amongst the grays. And the other purpose for producing that book was to lessen the fear component, because many people are terrified of the grays. There's been some really scary experiences that people have had. And I don't know if it's my labs or human generated or MK Ultra, or if it's indeed from the grays. I don't know. That's beyond the scope of my experience. But what I do know is that they are making themselves known, and this is going to escalate so that there will be no debate as to whether or not we are being visited by beings from other realities. And so I think it's important to reduce the fear. So the purpose of the second book is so that you can get an idea of what these beings might look like, or very close to the way they do look, so that when you realize that they're here, you're not going to be as terrified. You'll be more familiar with them, and you can see that they're actually not really that different from us. Um, Regardless of what the propaganda says, it's my firm belief they're not that different from us. And yes, they do indeed have emotions, even though we're usually taught that they don't have emotions. They actually do. So if you've got your book, grab it, and we're going to turn to chapter 9. This is a very exciting chapter. And so we've moved from chapter 1, which was an introduction, and chapter 1 also gave you an overview of my paranormal life. Chapter 2 is sort of an introduction and clarification on where I'm coming from and more about my experiences. Then chapters 3 to 8 is all about my ET experiences, the beings that I met aboard the big ship, the interactions we had, what we ate, what we did in a typical day, how the ship works, how the ship is piloted, where the ship is, like everything you would pretty much want to know. And I don't have full memory, but I remember quite a bit. And so I've only documented that which I remember directly. Then in part 3, which is about making contact, chapter 9 is prepare for contact. So as I mentioned, if you have your book, you can follow along. And if you do not yet have your book, please check out the links below so that you can order your copy. And the reason you want to have your own copy is because my experience is quite different than the mainstream UFO and ET experiences. The beings that I met and had experiences with them are a mixed race, all different races. We're all the same species, but we don't all look exactly alike. And but I actually had very little interaction with what you would call the Greys, except for Bob the Gray, and I've become friends with him. So so I'm gonna just start prepare for contact, and if you like, you can read along. And like I said, this does turn a lot of the UFO and ET narrative on its head. And I don't know what to say about that, but I do believe that all of our experiences are indeed noteworthy and valid, and there's room for all of us. So, chapter 9, prepare for contact, disclosure. For those of you who have eyes to see, you know that contact has begun. Disclosure continues as seen within the true life accounts of Preston Dennett, Dolly Safran, Nancy Thames, Jeff Selvers, Elsa Dillon, Jimmy Blanchett, and many, many more ET contactees who are boldly sharing their experiences. I am among the many trailblazers, and as we share our adventures, we provide much needed instructions for humankind so we can create a better world for ourselves here on Earth and mature as a race so we can take our place in the fellowship of our extended ET family. As we strive to improve, Earth is held under quarantine until we humans evolve to the level of maturity to ensure that we will make positive contributions to the ecology of the physical and non-physical universe. We need to take our power back and evolve, making room for contact and resettlement. For my personal contribution, I was given the download with which I created the Quantum Health Transformation Program, and I use it myself for recovery and enlightenment. Now it is updated and available at no charge for everyone who has access to the internet. This program is not under copyright, so it can be copied to print, translated into other languages, and shared with everyone. Quantum Health Transformation will assist you to become healthier, smarter, more spiritually evolved, and technologically in alignment with our intergalactic, interdimensional brothers, sisters, and cousins, should we decide to connect with them. So I will tell you a little bit more about the Quantum Health Transformation Program. Yeah, I got it in a download. It took me years to make sense of it, arrange it, organize it. And I've just, in the spring of 2024, I updated it to the 3.0 version. And like I said, it's available on my website. There is also a playlist on my YouTube and some of my other channels, but you want to look for the Quantum Health Transformation version 3.0 playlist so that you can get the best out of the program. And then I also have some PDFs of the program available on my website. Like I said, this information is meant to be shared. So you can incorporate it into a program you already offer. You can use it, share it. There's no copyright. It's there to be used. So the next subheading is intention. We must accept that when it comes to humanoids, our existence is in no way near the top of the heap developmentally. We may have trouble imagining being superior to us, and it is a shock to find out that most off-world beings have never even considered our existence. We're used to thinking we're at the center of the universe, and this is just so not true. We must try to step outside of the construct and stop thinking in human-centric terms. These are free beings and have been free for hundreds of thousands of years, maybe more, and their thinking, culture, health, and development is free from artificial constructs. What I mean by that is people are not aware of how intense the construct is that we're born into, with all of its programming and rules, and it's not the real. It's an illusion that we live within. It provides structure, but if we were born, say, in some isolated area on Earth and didn't have contact with mainstream society, we would think life was very different. Our norms of war, poverty, crime, and illness would be very disturbing to them, meaning the ETs, and completely foreign to their way of life. This is why they are not going to swoop in here and rescue us. We have to overcome the infection of our dysfunctional belief systems and ways of thinking, and we must evolve to the point where we can connect with them through universal consciousness. They are not religious in any way, but they are very spiritual beings. Further, ET will come as a response to an Earth-wide extinction level event, but will only take those who qualify, have useful skills, and have elevated themselves to a higher understanding of reality, so as to become an asset to any resettlement program. Humans who have done the personal work so they can hold sufficient spiritual frequency are the ones who will be taken. And as an act of mercy, they will also be able to bring along their loved ones once the which the qualified individuals hold dear. ET would never take those of us who would spread the infection of our dysfunctional ways of thinking and being onto other worlds, or even onto the city ships. which would cause disharmony and harm to the cosmic ecology. This is why it is so important to plan ahead before we attempt to make contact. So there are various CE5 programs out there, and they will accept pretty much anybody, but I highly recommend that you do the spiritual work, the personal development, the shadow work before you embark on CE5. Now, you don't have to be perfect, but you do have to approach CE5 with the right intention. Otherwise, they are not going to relate to you. Bottom line. CE5. Oops, I think I have to sneeze. Hang on a second. I did. Okay. CE5, learn how to listen for interdimensional communication by practicing the habit of noticing messages which linger in the outermost reaches of the mind. This process is like being aware of our peripheral vision, but instead of using our eyes, we pay attention to the peripheral awareness of our mind and our mind's eye. So we need to learn to listen mentally. I also recommend Dr. Stephen Greer's CE5 movement. To make contact, learn from Dr. Stephen Greer's CE5 protocols, decalcify your pineal gland, detoxify your body and mind, and sincerely reach out on your own. And persistence will absolutely pay off. So for those of you who aren't familiar, calcifying our pineal gland is important because that's part of the technology, our inborn technology we're born with that helps us to make contact with other realms, other worlds, and other ways of being. And that is usually done not only through meditation and spiritual practices, but by altering what we eat, getting back to eating real food, and not processed food. And also, we need to detoxify our body and our mind. So, we want to detoxify our body from all the toxins we've accumulated through our drinking water, through our atmosphere, of course, from food-like substances and pharmaceuticals. I'm not telling you you should or shouldn't take them. I'm not a doctor and I wouldn't do that, but I am just saying for myself, this is what helped me quite a lot. And then, of course, we have to detoxify our mind because we've been brainwashed and programmed within the construct. So that's another reason why you want to check out the Quantum Health Transformation Program because it will help you with all of this. It's an amazing, comprehensive lifestyle program that will set you up for greater chances of contact. The next subheading is the spiritual approach. I'm on page 138. Coming is the greater opportunity to join in transdimensional contact for those who prepare, raise our resonant frequency, care for the body temple, and tap into the love harmonic of the universe. In short, we must recreate ourselves, remove our distortions, and step into authenticity and sovereignty. I must stress again, human psychopathy will not be allowed to infect off-world systems. The awakening process is only the beginning of training and is not the same as ascending. First, we must wake up to see that we are living in a reality that has been constructed to enslave us, and then we must survive the extreme discomfort and confusion this realization brings forth. Then, once we have found our equilibrium and the ability to cope and progress within this environment, we are ready to move forward. There is no way around this, and it is the narrow path seldom taken. The next step is to embark on the hero's journey. This will lead to the ascension process, which is full of high spiritual adventure and can be physically and emotionally uncomfortable at first, but it is the path to personal evolution and enlightenment. So you can actually Google the hero's journey to learn more about it, and then you will easily see how that fits into the ascension as part of the ascension process. So ascension is not being, lifted up in spiritual form and taken back to God. The ascension program or progress is actually our own development and evolution to become higher spiritual beings. It actually has nothing or very little to do with religion. We are tougher and more resilient than we think, and there are many helpers to encourage us along the way. You do not need to become perfect, as this concept is another tool of the construct used to discourage us with the intention to cause us to give up. Yeah, if you're looking for perfection, you're going to get discouraged and want to give up for sure. So just eliminate that word from your vocabulary and your thoughts altogether because it actually doesn't exist. People often contact me and ask for a simple formula to assist them to make interdimensional contact. But when they hear my honest instructions, they give up and they look elsewhere for a softer, easier way. You might be wondering how I was able to contact ET and other interdimensional beings, and I will tell you the same thing I tell everyone else. I believe the following conditions are the main factors, but there might be more that I have not yet considered. First of all, there are my genetics, which I inherited from my ancestors who made intergenerational contact, and there is a good chance that they were altered in such a way as to allow them to have ongoing relationships with beings who are unseen by others. Next, there are the death-like states, or NDEs, that I experience from time to time in a medical environment. Twice that I know of, I was given too much anesthetic, which was administered to keep me in near-death states for much too long, while the surgeons attempted to repair the horrible mistakes they had made while operating on me. Recovery from these botched surgeries, the abundant erroneous medical advice, and the overprescribing of pharmaceuticals led me to such a state of suffering that it forced me to search for and find the alternative lifestyle needed to heal. And this eventually allowed me to hold the frequencies necessary for transdimensional contact. So these experiences that I had also helped me to relate very well to the download and in creating the Quantum Health Transformation Program, which I then followed, which helped me to raise my frequency and detox my body and my mind so that I could have more amazing contact. Finally, I have always had a sincere desire to elevate myself and assist others to do the same. All of my life experiences made me who I am today. I knew through all the suffering that I experienced in my life that I was being refined somehow as a result. And then more recently, I learned about epigenetics, which altered me physically and on an etheric level, and all of this made me a very useful tool, a map maker of sorts. So a spiritual map maker is someone who goes out and tests the waters and does the research and experiments in their own life and find out what works, what doesn't work, what's beneficial, what's not. And then we produce information to the masses so that not everybody has to go through that process because now you have a map, and the quantum health transformation is a sort of map. Now, I've been asked to share what I know with this world, and I'm here to help those who are willing to make the changes necessary to participate in transdimensional contact. We must initiate connection with a sincere desire, be willing to heal ourselves, repair our intergenerational dysfunction, and cast off the social and medical oppression. Ultimately, as we prepare for contact, we are cleaning up our own world. On a higher level of reality, universal issues are being dealt with here on Earth. Why cycle dysfunctional, immature souls through all the worlds when we can do this in the here and now on Earth? It is wiser to keep it contained and thereby resolve universal issues once and for all. So this is a very controversial statement. because, we've heard people talk about this being a prison planet. Well, in a way, they're right. All of our problem souls cycle over and over again through reincarnation here on Earth in order to straighten themselves out. After that, they're able to reincarnate onto other worlds. So, although it's a bit of a prison planet, it's temporary and it's only a prison as far as we have hold on to destructive ways of being. Further, there is a reason why universal consciousness is programmed on the love harmonic, because this is the only system that works. Love is a protective umbrella which includes kindness, mildness, joy, patience, self control, faith, peace, and goodness. It creates harmonious communities. It works and it's functional. Finally, love has nothing to do with church or religion. If you do what is good, if I do, oh, sorry, let me start again. If I do what is good only for me, it does not work out well. If I do what is good for others and not for myself, it does not work out well. But when I do what is good for myself and everyone else, this works. We must get rid of dichotomous and separation consciousness and replace it with freedom and creativity with no limits. So I'm just going to check the chat and see if I have any questions. Nope, I don't have any questions so far, so I'll continue. Now I'm going to get into a bit about the Quantum Health Transformation Program. As I mentioned previously, I received the initial concept in a download, which took place within a few seconds as I received this data in a packet all at once. My mind was flooded with symbols, abstract concepts, ideas, feelings, and more. And I walked around in a severe state of overwhelm in the upcoming days as I tried to organize the data and make sense of it all. It was a lot of information to hold in my mind, and I then had to downstep it from the abstract to the 3D and into language that most everyone could grasp. It took me months to produce the information in English and translate it into universal terms. I also made sure to demystify the higher concepts and teaching so that it was easy for everyone to understand and was not shrouded in mystery or require arcane knowledge to comprehend. So you will find as you're going through the Quantum Health Transformation Program that a lot of ancient teachings and mystical teachings are also included. But I've included them in ways that demystify them so that you could easily understand what I'm talking about and what these mystical ways of knowing are actually saying. So that was another challenge to creating the program. After I started to put the Quantum Health Transformation Program together, I began to understand that the information was to be made available to elevate humans and to prepare us for ascension and ET contact. The Great Awakening was coming, and many would desire fellowship with benevolent beings. But in order to make this possible, we would need to detoxify body and mind, meditate, and learn how to put our desired outcome out there. Contact is frequency directed, and we will be approached when we are ready. I worked at organizing the information in various ways, but kept coming back to arranging the data into 9 steps presented in reverse sequence. I knew that folks would have trouble with the descending order, but I assumed it would act as a countdown to ascension. Steps 9, 8, and 7 are about opening the mind and help us to think on a quantum level so that our awareness can expand. After doing those three steps, steps 6, 5, and 4 are all about detoxification, external, internal, emotional, and how to detoxify from the social construct. After we've done the middle 3 sections, there's steps 3, 2, and 1, and these are for skill building with ascension tools. As an online course, the 3.0 version is absolutely free and shareable, but PDF copies are also available from my website for a very low cost, really just a couple of dollars. So remember, everything on my website is in Canadian funds, and the Canadian dollar is only worth 63 cents of the American dollar. So everything is very reasonable, but the PDFs are just a couple dollars to help me cover some of my expenses. You can find the entire program on my website, www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com, under the free resources tab. Once this book is successfully published and distributed, I will begin a second book as a guide to awakening and ascension with the complete quantum health transformation material arranged in a workbook format. So I'm currently working on that. As an additional resource, I sell from my website my own brand of orgone generators called Zendome's Orgonite. My spiritual guides taught me how to entangle them on a quantum level so that every orgone generator that I have ever offered, offer now, or will offer in the future are energetically entangled. And when they're sold and arrive at their destinations all over the world, they spread an invisible net of positive influence, forming a planetary grid of healing, loving, and high vibrational energy to assist with the ascension work. I find that when I do as I am directed by my ET and interdimensional friends, everything works out better than I could have planned or imagined. Yeah, I've had many people reach out to me to tell me about the wonderful effects and experiences related to their orgonite that they bought from my website. It's very high vibrational. So it's not just the crystals that are contained in each piece. It's not just the piezoelectric effect, but there's also an added level of what I call entanglement that really boosts and amplifies their power. Just going to check the time. Okay, before I get into the alien implant remedy, which I also offer from my website, I know it sounds very out there, but please do be patient with me and listen to what I have to say about it. It is very important. But before I do that, I'm just going to take a very quick, less than 2-minute break to tell you about my books. Learn the stunning details about ET diversity and culture, along with their advanced ways of living and expressing spirituality, which is in no way like anything imagined here on Earth. Transdimensional, Meet the New Neighbors, introduces you to many different ET beings, the healing pods, the interior of the big ship, my orientation process, cultural events, and off-world mating practices. In my contact experience, I learned a great deal about the big ship, intergalactic and transdimensional travel, intergalactic planetary research, and the various options for resettlement. Once I published my first book, I felt the need to create a second book called Transdimensional 2, Meet the Greys Picture Book. I worked with AI to develop many images of beings that we have come to know of as the Greys. These beings come from many places, realms, dimensions, and timelines, and although they are of the same species as other humanoids, they are from many different family lines and races. What qualifies them as Greys is that their skin does not contain the pigment necessary to reflect light in our visible range of the color spectrum, so to us, they all appear to be various shades of gray. Beyond this physical attribute, there is much diversity in their origins, cultures, purposes, and physiological details. My goal is to get you used to the looks of beings which are different than humans in order to reduce your fear and increase your familiarity so you will remain more rational and grounded once the ET presence escalates beyond debate. Enjoy these images and notice the things we have in common so you will see that although they are different from us in appearance, we are essentially many family lines within one species. Paperback and Kindle versions of both books are now available on Amazon worldwide. Search the Amazon and Kindle bookstores and pick up your copies today. And we're back. Yeah, so I've had just so much positive feedback from people telling me how one woman even said she cried when she read the book because it confirmed for her what she already knew. And that was, a huge compliment, of course, to me. I've had a lot of people reach out, and some of them are doing their own research. And when we put our ideas together, it validates both of us. So it's really quite lovely. And I do appreciate my online community very much. So now I'm on page 142, A Conscious Mission in February 2020. For those of you who are late joining us, I'm reading from my book, Transdimensional Meet the New Neighbors. I've been reading from this book now, ever since the new year. So please do go back and watch the replays and catch up, and then you can hear all about it. And you're not only going to get me reading from the book, but you're going to get my comments where I expand on all kinds of different points that will help you to get the most out of your book. And again, if you haven't done so, please do purchase my book. The link is below in the description for both books, and I'm sure that you will very much enjoy them. And they're not difficult reads. That's the other thing. They're not highly technical. They're written in just basically, I take you along with me into my journey. And yeah, I think you'll really enjoy it. Oh, one more thing I'd like to ask, and that is if you do have my book, could you please go on to Amazon and leave me a review? That really helps. Some people go on Amazon and they still have trouble finding my book. But if you leave me a review, it really helps other people to find out who's enjoying it, why they're enjoying it, and it really boosts it out into the algorithm. Today, everything is algorithms. So, so I'm going to continue with A Conscious Mission in February of 2020. It was mid-afternoon on a chilly winter day, and I was lying on my bed practicing astral projection when I was met by Bob the Gray, who urged me to take this opportunity to go back to the big ship. So, Bob the Gray, I talked quite a bit about him in chapter 2. Um, So I knew that he only showed up when it was important. So with his assistance, I instantly crossed over and found myself aboard, floating down one of the many spacious hallways. Yeah, so as you'll find out in chapter 2, Bob has he looks like a gray. He definitely does. But his station in his reality is very much like the angels. He is there to perform service, and he has the ability to boost my abilities. He has the ability to help me unlock memories. He helps me to achieve my goals in the astral world. He's extremely helpful. I highly recommend you reach out to him or beings like him when you're ready. So here I am aboard the big ship. It just happened instantly. I'm floating down the spacious hallways. I perceived myself to be floating above the floor and about head height of the many beings who were leisurely walking along. Many of them noticed me, much to my delight, and I'm guessing this is because they are energetically sensitive and highly skilled at telepathy, so they may have been aware of my thoughts. I continued past them, and I was somehow drawn to a large room, which I instantly recognized as being the same place where I had met my fellow beings many times before while we conduct the exopolitical work. And as I mentioned earlier in the book, the exopolitical work is generally done in astral form, and I remember very little of it. And the reason is because I've agreed to have my memories suppressed because there are agencies and people here on Earth who would pester me if they could get that information out of me. And if I don't have it, if it's buried so deep that they can't get it out of me, there's no point in them pestering me. And so that is why. And also, a lot of this information is, I don't know what you would call it, highly classified. Yeah. And also, if I remembered everything, it might interfere with my daily life here on Earth because I'm here to be an Earth person and to have an Earth life, so it's important, but it's also really important the work that I do. So here I was in this room, which I had been to many, many times before, and I recognized most of the beings that were there. And I felt very comfortable and very relaxed while I was there. Some of the beings appeared to be fully corporeal, and several were there in etheric or astral form like me, but we could see each other clearly. Their mood was somewhat solemn, and I knew that I was there to deal with with serious business. Excuse me. One very human looking being with large ears started a telepathic discourse about the many technologies which have been designed and used on humans and other humanoid species for hundreds of thousands of years for the purpose of experimentation, mind control, geoengineering, and transhumanism, biotelemetry, and other purposes. He went on to explain that when these technologies are introduced to the anatomy of humanoids, they disrupt the electromagnetic balance and the homeostasis of the body. They often produce low level electromagnetic frequencies, also known as EMFs, that interfere with our natural energetic and biological cycles. People with these nefarious implants experience health issues as their bodies develop mechanisms to cope. These devices impact all of the body's energetic and auric fields, the physical body and the mind, often disconnecting beings from their inner and higher selves and spiritual energies. He further explained that most beings are unaware of their presence, but find that they do not thrive in spite of their best efforts. Beings with nefarious implants tend to have recurring headaches, digestive issues, cycles of anxiety and depression, poor sleep patterns, lack of energy, and adrenal fatigue, and have low immunity to disease with increased autoimmune responses. So I'm not a medical professional. I cannot diagnose or prescribe, but I will tell you that although there are all kinds of health issues you could have here on Earth that have some of these same symptoms, when people have done everything, exhausted all their curative abilities, been to the doctor, been to the specialist, had all the tests, they're just not getting better. Problem might be these nefarious implants. I myself did a fairly lengthy implant removal process myself, and I found it really helped me a lot. To make matters worse, they are rarely detected because implants can exist as etheric, energetic, holographic, genetic, biological, and synthetic. And they can include AI, nanotechnology, bioengineering, and crystalline formations. They are produced by interdimensional beings, ETs, and um, sometimes by the humanoids themselves. Some are beneficial and most are not, as they infringe on the spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical health of the recipient by blocking energy pathways in order to alter thoughts and feelings, behaviors and preferences, and healing potential. The communicator being then asked us to go back to our own worlds and work on producing remedies which we could offer to our own kind. Then abruptly, I felt myself plunk back onto my bed and started to think about how I could be of service. Yeah, so that was a very interesting adventure, and I sure learned a lot. And when I got back, technically I was not even away, but you know what I mean. I decided to look into this and to do all I could to help humankind. So I decided since all nefarious implants produce negative energies, the best way to disarm them would be with high frequency positive energy producing components. With assistance from Bob the Gray, I came up with a few possible essential oils, some high-frequency crystals, and then thought about what the best guided meditation would be to move energy and clear the energetic pathways. Later, I tested the essential oils and crystals with a pendulum to find the most effective combinations before hiring an essential oil consultant to confirm my choices, and she created a body spray and a foot oil for me. I also hired a crystal expert who made orgone generators, and he created small pyramids with raw hematite on the bottom half and clear quartz crystals on the top half. I put together several remedy kits and have assisted dozens of people to dissolve their energetic implants that were holding them back and preventing them from thriving. So, I'm not a factory. I just did the best I could to produce these kits. And I also created another set of kits that I call Evil Be Gone for people who may be experiencing negative energy or spirit attachments. And I'm almost sold out of those. I have a few of the alien implant remedy kits left, not too many, but this is not something I'm doing to make a bunch of money. Pretty much the cost of the kit just pays for the ingredients, and I only have a few left. So if you're interested, you want to go to my website, the link is below. You want to go to my shop and visit the Zendome's Organite section, and you want to look for the heading Remedial Kits, I think it's under, if you're interested in purchasing one or two. And it takes about a month to actually clear your remedy, to clear your implants using the remedy. And there's an online guided meditation that you do as well. It helps you to recognize things that are within your field that you may not have been aware of before. But when you become aware of them, you have great power over your physical and etheric body. And there's epigenetics to actually reject technologies and energies that are not in your best interest. So here's an image. I have images in my books as well. This is of me with Bob the Gray, representing, of course, this is not a selfie. This represents when I met with him, and I went back to the big ship with his assistants. So that is it for chapter 9. Next week, we will do the very last chapter, chapter 10, conclusion, and we'll talk about what does ET think about us. And that will be the end of the book. As I mentioned before, I have many images at the back of the book to help you get an idea of what some of these other beings look like, and my good relationship with them. So let's take a look at our time. Okay, we have no questions in the chat, which is okay. And I guess there's no point in continuing. I've covered all the information I wanted to cover. I'm going to talk briefly, though, about something else that's sort of a side note to all of this. It's been some time. Well, I have brief transdimensional experiences. I've had quite a few, which I've talked about in my podcast. I think I will add some of them to not my next book. My next book is a Quantum Health Transformation Workbook, but the one after that, I may even be working on both at the same time. But this past week, I had a very profound connection with an entity. So my transdimensional experiences happen while I'm asleep, in the sleep state. They're very different from my dream state, very different than my REM, rapid eye movement dreams. They have a purpose. They're very real. They feel very real. I'm not sure if I'm there astrally or actually they're there, with, I would say, some kind of consciousness swap. But because the event is so real and captivating, I'm not looking around to see if I'm etheric or what. It just happens. And then it isn't until I wake up that I have clear memory of what happened during my experience. So anyway, this experience was a learning session with what I'm going to call at this point an entity, and I was being educated about autism. And autism is not what we've been taught it is. So as I was during the day, as I was mulling over what I had learned in my transdimensional experience, flipping through Facebook, it turns out that it was National Autism Awareness Day. It was April the 2nd of this year. And I went, wow, that is a very confirming coincidence. What are the chances that I would have this learning experience, this transdimensional experience on the same day? I had no idea it was Autism Awareness Day. So that was huge confirmation. There's a lot of research about this because I'm going to get more into. Oh, there, I'm back. I don't know what happened. It just went buffer, buffer, buffer. I don't know if you heard what I was saying in the interim or not, but I'm back now. So I'm going to do a podcast next week. I'm going to finish the book, and then I'm going to have a guest on, the friend of mine who does a lot of research into frequency and transdimensional um, travel, and he understands quite clearly how this is possible, and he's going to talk to you about that. And then the week after, I'm going to really get into this transdimensional experience I had this week. So not sure which part cut out, which part didn't, but basically I had this transdimensional learning experience. It was about autism, and it was about that autism is not what we think it is. And then I found out the same day it was Autism Awareness Day, April 2nd. I had no way of knowing that. It was huge confirmation. And then I contacted my friend and told him about it. And he said, yeah, it's totally how it happens. And he totally validated me. And then I wrote everything down, all my notes from my experience as best as I could remember it. And then on Thursday, I watched the telepathy tapes for the first time. I watched season 1, episode 1. And on Friday, I watched season 1, episode 2. And I'm continuing to watch them, but I had no idea. Like, I had heard about the telepathy tapes, but I didn't really know any of the details or anything about the research or anything about it. So I'm going to highly recommend y'all watch it. Incredible, incredible discoveries, cutting edge discoveries. And I found out through watching the show how I might be contacted through what they call the hill, and how it may indeed have been an autistic person or persons here on earth who gave me that life lesson early in the morning on April the 2nd. So yeah, wild, wild. I know all of my life is unbelievable. I do not expect you to believe me. I just want you to learn the important parts from me, and hopefully my life will inspire you and help you to make the most out of your earth journey. So that's it for today. I want to thank you all for joining me. If you're This is available on all audio podcasts, but also the replay is going to be on, the live is already up on X and YouTube and Rumble. The replay will also be posted to YouTube and Telegram and Well, Odyssey. Odyssey, I'm having a little bit of trouble with, so I've got to sort that out. And then, so I'm basically available everywhere. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I want to wish you the best week ever. I hope you come back and join me on Wednesday for the Quantum Guide Show. I'm very excited to be back doing lives again, and I've got an amazing lineup of guests that I know you'll enjoy very, very much. So on Wednesday, that's at noon Pacific, 1 o'clock. 1 p.m. Mountain or 3 p.m. Eastern time. So we'll see you then. I'll say goodbye to everybody. Love you so much, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining me for the Aliens and Angels podcast. Read about my true life ET contact in my book called Transdimensional Meet the New Neighbors, which is now available on Amazon worldwide. Subscribe to my YouTube, Rumble, and X channels at Karen Holton TV. The like button and leave me a comment. And please do share this podcast with your friends. Check out my website at www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com to see my free resources and amazing products and services. All of the links will be in the description below. As part of the Forbidden Knowledge Network, you'll also find the Quantum Guide Show with Karen Holton on all audio platforms. Until next time, keep up the good work.